Hey friends, it's Devin, and I'm back with another book review of a recent read that changed my life, and I love it so much I want to share it with you. It is The 10,000 Doors of January by Alix E. Harrow, and this had a very profound impact on my life. And when books have profound impacts on my life, I naturally want to share it. So if you're enjoying my book reviews, make sure to subscribe because I'll be sharing more, and leave a like if you find this helpful. In this review, I'm going to share with you what this book is about. I'll share my process reading it, why I love it, why I recommend it, and also who I recommend it for. Okay? Maybe not in that particular order. Okay, so I found this book at Barnes & Noble, and it was on, those little tables where they say buy one get one half off. I'm a sucker for those tables. I went to Barnes & Noble saying I will buy one book, but I always make an exception for buy one get one half off. So I had seen this before at Barnes & Noble. I didn't know much about this book, but the cover stood out to me, and I was really happy that I got it. And when I got it, I was already reading a ton of other books, but I felt this really strong magnetic pull to dive into this book. Now, when I opened it, I read probably the first 50 pages, and then I kept feeling this really strong draw to go back to it. And I actually stopped what I was doing, and I actually gave a whole day or two to read this book. And this book changed my life. And it changed my life because it gave me little nuggets to take with me of things I was already doing in my life practice. And it did it through this beautiful, elegant, poetic, obviously, through words. I regress. Okay, so what is this book about? This book is about a little girl named January. It starts out when she's young. I think she's 7 when the book starts out, and it goes up until she's 17. And she's basically the ward, or she's being taken care of by this very rich man called Locke, or Mr. Locke. And, she's not orphaned, but basically her father is going through a hard time when she's born. She doesn't have a mother. And this guy takes them in, and her dad is working for this very wealthy man. It takes place in the early 1900s, so you get to go back in time. And it's a portal fantasy book, which I'll share a little bit more about in a second here. But basically it talks about her upbringing in this place where this guy has all these collectibles. Her father goes out to work for this guy and brings back all these kind of rare artifacts or things from around the world. So she grows up in this privileged life, but she's, taught to be a good girl and well-mannered and to behave and all these things. And she's really wild at heart, and she's always looking for stories and adventures. And as a 7-year-old, she finds this door. And she feels this magical pull where she can escape her reality into another one, and there's these kind of magic synchronicities and things that happen. And as she goes, she keeps kind of finding things and unraveling them, and people show up. And it's also about her relationship with her family, and her father, and missing her father when he goes away to travel, and bringing that all together. Now, the power of this book is that it's about books. And it's about the power of written word. It's about the magic and the power of word workers. It's about writing and rewriting your own story and your own narrative. It's about the wild spirit and traveling or wanting to escape your life or your reality into books, into these portals, right? Into these different doors. And through this, she essentially gets to uncover the mystery of her own life and find out where she came from. And I don't want to spoil it, so I don't really know what else to say about that, but I'll keep adding little tidbits that feel right when sharing this. So this book was so beautifully written. It's wild, and it's every word, like I wanted to, I don't normally underline or make notes with fiction books because, you know, with nonfiction, I always underline things that stand out to me or things that I want to go back to. And this one, I didn't do it, but I wanted to, but it was so well paced that I just kept going with it. But this like really touched me. This girl, January, like her spirit and her fight, and her adventure and her heart. I mean, like, so many of these lines pack punch. And there's a message in this book, and the message is so beautiful, and I needed it so much at the time. So I would highly recommend this book if you are a writer. And I don't mean a writer meaning like you do that for a living. I say if writing has ever helped you in your life, read this book. I've been writing for decades now, and it has been a lifesaver for me, and it's such a big core of like how I figured out who I am. I've healed so much. I've, you know, created all sorts of things with my writing, and reading this book is like a love story for writers or for people who love to read or to really, this book is really celebrates the power of a good book. And it celebrates the power of a good book because this little girl in this story finds a book called The 10,000 Doors that she's reading, and it opens up this whole portal for her. The book is about portals and doors. It opens up this entire adventure where she can escape into this book and also make sense of her life. And so it was so powerful in that sense when, you know, so for example, and one of the reasons I love this book and want to recommend it was I'm constantly on the search for a book that takes me and holds me and moves me, a fiction book I'm saying. Because I've been a big nonfiction reader, but I'm really moving toward the power of good fiction. And last year, when I first started doing book reviews, I found Euphoria by Lily King, and that really touched me. Like, it was like, okay, this was a book that kind of changed the reading game for me and the power of reading a good book. And then this year, this is that book for me. So this book came in and I was like, okay, this is the book that hit me, that stirred me up, that made an impact, that I'm thinking about long after, that I would pick up and reread at some point. I would even pick up and, you know, I did it right before, and just skim over some of the words in this book. It's rich, and it's very abstract, and it's so feeling based, and it's like, it's the narrator, January, it's like she's pouring out her heart of her experience. And when I read this, I was like kind of obsessed with it. Like, I was like, I'm kind of obsessed with this book. And then I was like, I'm kind of obsessed with the author too. So Alex, if you're listening to this, I'd love to be friends with you. I was gonna say, give me a call, but you know, I'd rather be pen pals because I would love for you to write with you. But I got kind of obsessed with it, and it was a book that I wanted to talk about. It was a book that I told a couple of my girlfriends about, that were touched right away. So if you know the power of writing or wild mind writing or just journaling, this book will inspire you and really open up your heart. If you love jumping into a portal or literally going into other worlds and books, this is a great book. If you just want something that's beautiful and touching and just really deeply feeling based, this book is for you. So I was like uncomfortable until I finished this book, and then when I finished it, I was also uncomfortable because I finished it. So like when I finished it at night, I think I had 100 pages left, and I was like, okay, I could finish this today. And I want to finish it because I just want to finish it, but then I was also like, but if I finish it, then I won't wake up and look forward to how I can fit in finishing this book the next day. So I was a little bit like upset when it finished, in the sense where I really enjoyed it. And it wasn't like the end was some grand finale that left me the most. The funny thing about this book was like the beginning and the middle were also so powerful that I was touched by it, and I just wanted to make sure that I shared it out there because I highly recommend this book. And I'm sure it's not for everybody, you know, but it's definitely for people who want to be touched. It's definitely for people who know the power of a good book, also people who love to travel, And yeah, and this is also a debut novel. So like, I've read a lot of impressive debut novels, and I was really rooting for this author and really impressed with how she packed so many emotions in this book. It's a very emotional force kind of book. The character goes through a lot of trauma. There's a lot of adventure. There's a lot of beauty. There's a lot of healing. There's a few love stories in here. It's not too dramatic in the love stories, but there's a couple good love stories. And really ultimately like her finding her sense of home, and her finding like where she came from, and a sense of family and her place in the world, and also the power of how our intentional words that we write and that we say have a profound effect on opening those next doors and portals for us. So I could probably go like on and on and on about what I loved about this book. I'd be happy to make another like review about it if more things come. I'd be happy to like read parts of this book. I would love to chat with people who've read it. So if you have read this book, make sure to let me know how you liked it in the comments. I obviously highly recommend it. And it was interesting because I've been reading Harry Potter and I love Harry Potter, but then it was like after I read this, I was like what's gonna do it for me now? Like I got a little bit disoriented with my reading progress because it was very, very touching. So to wrap it up, I highly recommend this book. Go out and get it if this resonates with you. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know how you feel about it. And if you have any good books you're reading, make sure to recommend them in the comments. If you found this helpful, make sure to leave a like and make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when I post more. So I'm sending you guys so much love and have a beautiful day. Bye for now.